My name is Tim. I am the Business Development Manager for Aruba, a Hewlett-Packard Enterprise company. Aruba is the networking business unit of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. And the state of Aruba today, we are global enterprise, SMB, and commercial company. So we are more on the wired wireless solution. And as you can see, our list of portfolios, we're known to produce strong access point, the switches, security solutions. We have quite a range of solutions that we are known for. Our range of products are designed in a way that we can actually reach the big enterprise customers and also the small customers for the SMB, so that they can all enjoy the whole solution in one. So our portfolio is designed in two phases. For the SMB, like I mentioned earlier, where we have a range of instant-on switches and access points that we design for businesses, because we tailor our solutions in a way that we can actually reach the whole market segment. And for the big enterprise, we have this range of products as well for big enterprise solutions on the access points as well, and the switches and the network access control solutions as well. Zimbabwe is quite a very potential market for SMBs, because the big enterprise solutions are designed for big enterprise companies, and we realize that in Zim, this SMB segment is a part that has never been touched, and this is where we have big potentials that we can actually reach out to our potential customers.
I'm going to speak to you guys today about Aruba Instant On. It is Aruba's newest product line. What we've sort of found over the years, and it's something that I don't know if Aruba heard our calls or they just saw a general gap in the market, is that Aruba concentrated mainly on the enterprise level wireless and wired networks. So we said, surely there's a gap in the SMB, small medium business and home environment. And Aruba sort of answered that call. And they brought out Aruba Instant On. So this range is actually built off of the enterprise-grade equipment. It is fully robust, fantastic, and this is literally plug and play. I think I struggled more to get my screen to share properly than it takes to actually set up these devices and these networks. They are aimed primarily at smaller networks, so sort of 20 or 25 access points and below. So for your home office, small businesses, and even homes. Your wireless growth year on year in 2021, so this was last year, increased by 3.4% globally. So that might sound like a small figure, but in the bigger scheme of things, it's not actually such a small figure, because if you take on, that's within 2021. Now, that add 3.4% to that for 2022, you've got a sort of snowball effect. So that's going to grow more and more and more. This year, by the end of this year, they're predicting to be about 5%. My personal view is that it'll probably be slightly higher than that. What it does mean is that wired is not necessarily reducing, just the demand on the wireless, on the wired side is where it's reducing. So your endpoints on a wired network are reducing because all of your devices are connecting via the access point. 57% of SMBs are increasing their spending. That sort of stat within Zimbabwe is somewhat relevant. Post-pandemic, we are seeing more and more businesses spending money on their IT infrastructure, or sort of increasing their capacity to be able to have those online meetings, to be able to operate sort of seamlessly within the sort of digital age. So businesses are starting to want to expand so that everybody within the organization is completely covered. The AP22 is the Instant On range is Wi-Fi 6 AP. It is able to serve multiple clients. I think, I don't know properly off the top of my head, but if I'm not mistaken, you can get 75 clients connected to one AP. It is 75, yeah. We do know other brands, as soon as they get to about 15, 20 devices, those access points start failing. So This is sort of, it's almost quadruple the ability of what those other devices are. There's reduced power consumption, so you can connect more devices to the switches and not exceed the PoE power supply. Reduced interference, ensure secure storage of credentials, so security. It's harder to sort of hack in and gain those credentials. Faster transfer rates, so more data is packed into the signal, so you get faster speeds between your device and the access points. I think quite a big question that is often asked is warranty. So as of June last year, warranty on instant on devices is 2 years from the moment it is activated. There's actually 5 years of free support when you purchase the units. And obviously cloud management and local management is all included within that for free, yeah. You can actually see who's connected to what access point and how many people are connected to that access point. I don't think any of you have had any problems with throughput, and that's 55 people connected to that particular access point. So it's that simple. If you've got people in an environment where you've shared the password and they've shared it with their friends, and you can see, okay, hang on a second, this device is not meant to be on here, you simply block it. That device cannot connect to your networks again. So that device is blocked, and obviously you can then unblock it again. You can see the breakdown of the categories of connectivity that they've been going through. So 41% is email. So this person is actually working, they are doing their job. Not too much of that is social media. So you can see those breakdowns and you can get an idea of where all your bandwidth is going. And obviously you can block those individual categories as well.
What we thought would be to actually have as a very important bullet point would be having the same level of security and authentication we have in the Wi-Fi world, in the wired world as well. So it would no longer matter whether you are connecting using a cable or whether you're connecting using the Wi-Fi system. I believe there are IT administrators or network administrators among us today, and you probably have better things to do than checking on the network each and every morning and sweating that nothing turns red. That it's going to be green, it's going to be smiling faces, it's going to be all LEDs in green, nothing flashing, nothing beeping with errors. You got better things to do than just troubleshooting the Wi-Fi and troubleshooting the wired network every moment something happens. So why don't we just automate whatever can be automated? And this is AI ops I'm going to be talking about later as well. The vast majority of IoT devices you will encounter is using Zigbee, which is a protocol working in the frequency band of 2.4 gigahertz. It also is called 802.15.4. That's not important. What is, however, important is that every single vendor, like Philips, Assa Abloy, Samsung, whatever you might have, they're actually using their own protocol, so to say, their own stack. As a downside to this is that every single vendor will provide you with their own little box or little gateway, if you will, where the wired cable, the Ethernet, will plug on one side, and it will talk to those IoT devices you might have using Zigbee. Every single AP we offer you, every single AP we have in our portfolio features something we call the Iot Radio. It's actually a combination of Bluetooth and Zigbee. That means if you happen to have IoT devices or you're planning to get IoT devices, you don't necessarily have to only rely on those gateways which are being shipped or sold even separately sometimes, but you can make use of the already built-in radio you have. So you have your Wi-Fi network provided by that AP, plus you can have Bluetooth Low Energy for something like location services. And then you can have Zigbee, you can use the built-in Zigbee radio, which is completely open. So there is no hidden caveat or something where we would only work with 2 specific vendors. No, we're actually open to the world. It's an open interface. So whatever you might have, there is definitely a token, a backend system, how we can connect it, we can hook it up with that particular vendor you're working with, and you can make use of the built-in radio. Well, believe it or not, we were established 2001. And we were acquiring companies, we were developing our own stuff. So as I said, currently it is not pure Wi-Fi we're talking about here. It is not Wi-Fi and wired. It is the entire ecosystem. It is the entire solution being delivered by a single vendor. That means we can really take care that we are taking you from the Wi-Fi, from the wired, from the centralized monitoring, troubleshooting, analysis, even presence analytics, all the way to firewalling, authentication, authorization, pretty much the entire thing. And this really developed over years. So we are a pretty well-established company. And when you take a look at what we currently are offering is, the good thing is you can start very small. This is what would fall under or into flexibility. You can start with a single AP, and you can grow the network with you. That means as your company, your school, your business, whatever you might have, as you are growing, you're employing new people, you're buying more laptops, you're maybe moving to a bigger office. So because you're growing, at the same pace, you can grow your network because it's going to be plug and play.
So we've come up with what we call the managed services. You don't own the equipment. The managing partner who is going to sell these services to you, because we work as a channel, so as we are not here, so we use our partners to deliver this kind of services to our customers. So the partner is going to own the equipment, but this equipment is going to be stored on the customer's prem. The customer has nothing to do. Whatever equipment they need for this project will be delivered to them by the partner. And all they need to do is to take it as a subscription mode, just like you do for Netflix, like you do for Spotify and the rest of them. So you pay the partner this on a subscription mode, and you get the same services as if you own those equipment, but in reality, the equipment belongs to the partner, and you are just taking it as a subscription mode, whereby you pay the partner on a monthly basis, depending on the agreement you have with them.
AIOps is automatically collecting information for you. It incorporates machine learning, and what it does, it creates something like a standard network behavior. But it's not only about your network, because what we do is we anonymously, of course, it can be disabled for your particular network, but if left enabled, we will anonymously collect typical operational information. That means we take a look at how good or how bad clients are behaving in terms of throughput, modulation rates, let's say which band they're using, what the client capabilities are, what the requirements are, because we know that every single device is unique. Now, what if I told you that there is a mechanism that would collect information and would do this for you, but not only once upon, for example, power on, but in regular successions. For example, every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. So every morning, if left on default, at 5 o'clock, the network will retune itself. It will alter the transmission power of every single radio to meet the requirements and to actually have an ideal, what we call coverage radius. But we can simply have the machine learning mechanism with the, as they call it, artificial intelligence, or AIOps as they call it, do these things for you. Right? So this is like one of the key differentiators, I would say, when it really gets to the ease of use and automation we would like to introduce, and I'm going to be talking about in a sec. We have created something we refer to as Sd-Wan Fabric, if you will. Now, in human language explained, we can very easily interconnect your remote locations with your headquarters very easily using whatever carrier, whatever ISP, whatever means of connectivity we have in between. So there are several ways how to optimize things. So typically, our colleagues, because this is, you probably heard the name Silver Peak before. This is one of the companies we acquired just recently. And this is something they have been playing with for the past, I believe, 6 or even 7 years. And they really found a way how to squeeze out every single, even the last drop out of the lines you might already have. Even if these lines are not of a great quality, we can still make them look like, just like if they were, very expensive MPLS, SLA granted circuits, very expensive lines. And how do we do this? Well, first of all, we have something that is called the forward error correction. I'm not going to be torturing you with details. I just want to say, if a packet gets lost, we can rebuild it. We can restore it. Now, if you're working with large files, if you're working with, let's say, data that is repeating itself, running like nightly backups, or restorations, or maybe you are working with databases where very frequently it happens with databases that you have parts of data which are being retransmitted all over again, or maybe if you have 2,000 cells containing exactly the same information, but yet you have to transfer them to the other side because the database requires you to have that piece of information even though it is the same in all those 2,000 cases. Now, what if you needed to transfer it to the other side only once, and then just simply tell the other side, this is where the information needs to be inserted. I'm not sending the entire file over, I'm just telling you to put it in there and pull it out of your cache. And this is exactly what we're doing. So if you, for example, are transferring a 500 megabyte file, let's say an update, iOS update or OS update in general, So if you updated your workstation, or if your colleague already updated their workstation, and you're doing the same, the file will not be pulled from the internet, it will be pulled locally. So you save time, you save energy, you save that bandwidth. So that actually makes it faster. We have created one feature of ClearPass Policy Manager, which is my personal favorite, and we call it Onboard. It has a built-in certificate authority. This certificate authority comes with it out of the box, and this certificate authority is capable of generating certificates, plus it has a special routine of deploying those certificates onto mobile devices, or even fixed devices, whoever needs them. And the process is pretty simple and straightforward. Now, imagine you just bought your iPad, or let's say for the sake of the animations I will show in a sec, the iPhone. You just bought yourself the iPhone. You never were associated with the corporate network, and since we have this BYOD policy where every single device needs to be authenticated and authorized, you have to get a certificate. Now, since you don't have a certificate, what you need to do is you have to use the strongest possible authentication method you can use besides certificates, because we don't have that yet, and that will be username and password. So you get to the point where you get to your office, you join the network, and it will simply ask you for a username and password. That's called WPA2 Enterprise. Username, password, could be Windows Active Directory, could be Radius, whatever you have as your backend, but it would be like weaker authentication. Then you're in. Now, I told you that ClearPass was capable of figuring out what kind of device you were using. So ClearPass knows you're using an iPhone. An iPhone is considered to be a mobile device, so it can be privately owned. So we automatically know that you have to use a certificate, not a username and password combination. So what do we have? We have we call it conditional authentication. So we have rules. The first rule is, what kind of device are we talking to? Okay, it's an iPhone, so it is belonging to the family of mobile devices. Okay, cool, we know who you are. Did you use, we call it EPTLS, don't worry about the details, it's certificate-based authentication. Did you use certificate-based authentication with your iPhone? No, we used username and password because we don't have a certificate yet. Okay, so I will put you into quarantine automatically, no network access, and I will present you with a portal like this. And you will need to fill that portal out. Typically, it can be a code, could be QR, could be, again, your username, password, whatever. You just simply have to tell the system who you are as person, who you are. Now, based on that, the system will automatically, provide you with a certificate. There will be actually a new page following the initial page with this little button here saying Install Certificate. So you just simply click on that button, and it will automatically push something onto your phone, and you will end up seeing something like this. And it will tell you profile downloaded. So just simply click on that profile you just downloaded, and it will show you what the profile contents are. So it has the identity configuration for your Wi-Fi card, so you don't have to fill around with identities, picking the correct one because you might already have some other certificates installed. So it will automatically configure your phone to use the certificate you were provided with. Plus, if you click on those details, you will see that it actually came in with the entire network setting. So it knows exactly what SSID to choose from, what authentication method to use, which certificate to pick, which identity to employ. Now imagine I lose my phone, or I sell it, or it will get stolen, or something happens to it, I no longer have it on me. What we can do is you can take a look from the other side. This is the graphical user interface of the actual ClearPass. And here you can go into something we call the device repository. So this is where the individual certificates of individual onboarded devices are stored. And you just simply go there, you search, you look up my name, and my email address in this case, pavel.kovanets@hpe.com, and you simply delete or revoke that certificate. And from that moment on, my phone is locked out. So even if the guy who found it would walk into my office, he would no longer be able to access the network because he no longer has the certificate. I mean, he has it, but it's no longer valid as an authentication tool. So what do we say? We have the zero trust policy, where we say we trust no one. That means you take the interface, you take the workstation, you take the cable, and you plug it into any free available interface. And what will happen is it will launch the authentication. It will figure out, using ClearPass, who you are, what you may and may not do, which VLAN you belong to, which services you need. And instead of giving you a specific, let's say, VLAN where all the contractors are connected to or all the printers are connecting to, it will give you your own private network, if you will. It will simply create a small segment where only you exist. And out of this little segment, you can only reach those services and those data stores and those data you are entitled to see and copy.